Guess we could get going. And my name is Russell Gambino, and my partner Kathleen Van Shari here. We're STEM Success Coaches. We're part of the STEM grant that's been applied to Passaic County Community College. It's kind of unique in that it's directed to students who are pursuing a STEM field, which is sometimes a little harder. But it's also usually pays a little bit more, so we like to encourage students to go into those type fields. Kathleen, if you want to start off and take.
So again, my name is Kathleen Mancheri, and I work with Russell with our students who have chosen a STEM path at PCC. All right, so first we can start, well, it's actually here, but does everyone know what STEM stands for? Yeah, sometimes, believe it or not, sometimes it's a fairly new acronym that people use, so some may hear of it, but they don't know what it stands for. So it's part of the science, technology, engineering, math fields. So this is the definition of areas of interest: so biological sciences, computer science, chemistry, engineering, math, physics, astronomy. So a lot of our students who come to PCC, we have engineering major, computer science majors, bio, math majors that they go into, and then they eventually want to transfer to a four-year university in those fields. So the main problem that probably you all know about is, for instance, some data here about high school students ranked 21st out of 30 nations in science, 25th in math. 43% of U.S. high school students are ready for college math. 29% are ready for college science, and more than half of Americans aged 18 and 34 range say they really can't do math, or they have math phobia, they don't like math, they hate it, they don't want to know anything about it. So that's the problem that we all are aware of. High schools, colleges that come up a lot. And also additional challenges for county college students, academic challenges, first generational students, college students, possibly low self-esteem, that they don't belong as a college student, they're not sure where they fit in, parental involvement. Math is highlighted obviously in bold because we all know, again, the math, getting through the math courses, math sequence. Sometimes math is obviously connected with a lot of self-esteem, so that's tied in a lot. So those are some of the challenges that you're probably aware of already. So this is where our STEM grant comes into at Passaic County College, where we're employed now as success coaches. So basically our STEM grant started last summer actually. It's a 4.5-year grant to address these challenges, the problems that students face in college, especially for STEM majors, to provide them extra support, resources, for them to be successful. So when I say successful, obviously to stay on track towards graduating on time, retain them semester to semester, have them be aware of all the resources for them to be successful, and then eventually transfer on to a four-year college. The grant states having 100 students in our cohort per year. So cohort, as you know, is cohort model where they're all together. We work with them together as a unit, so that way we track them as a cohort, semester to semester. So we worked with our students last summer, and we'll talk about that a little bit more with the summer program. Last summer they came in as a cohort, so we track that cohort, until they graduate and eventually transfer. Then we're going to get a new cohort for this summer coming, and then track that as well, and work with them as well. So that'll be for 4 years. The goal obviously is to increase retention, graduation rates, graduating on time for STEM majors, and have these students transfer to a four-year partnership university. So PCC is partnered with NJCCC, Rutgers, Montclair State, so they have those articulation agreements where they obviously get their associates. That block of credits carries over into the 4-year. So obviously we try to always encourage them to obviously finish at our college. Some students, they may think, well, I'll stay for a semester or two, but as you know, they're at a disadvantage because they can lose credits. They'll get stuck in the middle without any degree. So the advantage of getting a degree, associate's degree, moving on to transfer to a 4-year is crucial. So this is where us as success coaches, we're hired with the STEM grant, come into play. This is a little bit of who we are, what we do. So our job, obviously, simplistic terms we were saying, is to retain them, graduate on time, transfer to a STEM cohort, incoming freshmen. Our cohort of students are those who are selected in our Summer Scholars Academy. I'll talk a little about that in a little bit. We begin with this cohort during our summer and continue right through when they graduate at PCC. And then we try to partner with them to make sure they transfer to a 4-year and eventually finish and graduate from that 4-year university. So that's the goal, to start them from the summer, from when they graduate as a senior in high school, get them before they're incoming freshmen for fall, work with them, graduate them with us, transfer to 4-year university, graduate from a 4-year university, and then eventually onto a STEM career, of course. So during that time, we meet with them, follow up with them, build a relationship with them multiple times, especially from the summer on, to make sure that they're successful, know what their opportunities are, getting to know the cohort itself, build those relationships. So I just first want to show you, last week I took some pictures because I want you to get an idea of what our STEM, it's called a makerspace. Does anybody want to know what a makerspace is? Yeah, so makerspace is let students coming together, working on projects, coming up with ideas together. So it's a very, it fits with the cohort model very good because this makerspace moved in last semester. I wanted to show you how everything's connected. So when a student comes in that door on the left side, this is our STEM program, and they see that screen right in their front, upcoming events, tutoring, registration events that we're doing. And these are some students on the right side. So they have their makerspace tables, they're working on projects, study groups, studying together. So it fits the cohort model very well. And obviously some microscopes are working on things. Another part of it, let me just show you how it's all connected in that STEM program. So in this room here, this is one of our rooms where it has the whiteboards. They're working on actually robotics in that room. So everything is connected. And then down the hallway are our doors. So this is my door I wanted to show you, and this is Russell's door on the right side. So basically it's in a one-stop shopping. So they come in, they can work on robotics, they meet their peers, cohort model peers. They meet with us, so we see them on a daily basis, so it's good.
It's a little bit unique in that we're right there, so we're not like in another building where all counseling is. We're right here working on robots and things like that with them. So that's a little bit unique to our program.
So again, so they see us regularly, so they'll stop down the hallway, they'll say hi to us, we'll check in, see how their classes are going, how they're doing. So it's a great opportunity for us to connect with them. And like Russell was saying, a lot of colleges sometimes, if you're in a major, they have student lounges, but you have to go, advising is here, and career service is there and everything, so we're right there. So then they know that they can go to us anytime if they have any questions. And then obviously on our door, on my door is always posted with different tutoring resources, events going on. So right in that makerspace, they know the connection with events, field trips, workshops, tutoring hours, upcoming registration, which we're doing now for fall, of course. So I just want to show you the connection with everything all together.
And these science students, which we introduced ourselves and kind of recruited during the summer, have grown to become friends with each other. It was kind of a breaking point when they left high school. They kind of left their old friends that were kind of inherited those friends. Now they met all new friends, and it's amazing. They really do. That's who we know there, and they kind of cling up. Yes, sir.
You call them science students. Does anybody screen them, especially after you get a math placement test, or if someone comes and just say, I want to be a computer science engineering major, that they're the lowest level of math, that's just fine?
We do have that problem, and we do have a limit of where we'll accept them. And we'll try to work with them to boost them up where possible.
So you do pre-screen them?
We do.
For the cohort?
We do. When we screen them in the summer, we also interrogate which ones are coming in and call them in particular and make them take their placement test. The cohort, we didn't quite have the level we wanted to, but we knew that would be the challenge. And we set up special programs for some. Some are just, to be honest, are not going to make it.
Right. And how do you broach that?
This is where I think the Summer Academy comes into play. Before they start for the summer, we kind of screen the students who have declared and applied.
Making it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry?
The presentation will just makes it bigger. Right here.
The bottom.
Slideshow.
Slideshow. Up top slideshow. See slideshow?
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Don't worry.
Okay.
Hold on.
And then from current
Let's
slides.
see. Hold
From
on.
second slide, second one.
Oh, from
There we
current
go.
slide, okay, got it.
There we go.
Okay,
Thank
thank you. All right. So going into that about the summer academy, so again, these students coming in from the summer, our first summer was last summer when the grant started. So I guess to answer your question about, we screened the students, whoever applied as STEM majors, who took their Occuplacer placement test. We kind of screened them, we follow up with them. Obviously, they had to have an interest in STEM. They declared STEM. Even if they're not sure, some students are not sure about computer science, engineering, but they know they want to work in STEM somehow. But before the summer program starts, they take the Occuplacer test. So they get placed into their college level reading, writing, and then the math. So we know we can distinguish what they're placed at. So that's where the summer comes in. Last summer, we worked with them with a lot of math bridget programs. So most students, the majority of them were placed in college level math that wanted to do the summer academy. And then they wanted to move on to pre-calculus. But the ones who were lower than college level, we had the math boot camp, the basic math 025 boot camp. Even the ones who placed a little bit lower than college level, we had the English writing boot camp to boost them up into the college level for the fall. So they were given the opportunity to retake the Occuplacer after our program because they were given 5 weeks of intensive math, English prep to kind of build that up. So in addition to that,
The college success course, is that required for all new students?
yes,
It
all
is.
first semester students, yes. So basically, they're already ahead of the game. So last summer, we had them take college success. It was free college credit. The whole program was free for them. So in those 5 weeks, they were given the college credit. So along with the workshops, they had a different schedule. So Monday through Thursday, let's say, I think it was Mondays and Wednesdays, they had college success, certain hours to get their college credit. So they already, a lot of them were ahead of the game. They talked about how important it was, or how, what was the word for it? I'm trying to think, ready before fall, because a lot of college freshmen, they take it in the fall semester, but they're already ahead of the game. By fall, they knew where everything was, orientation from college success, so. Yeah.
So if they don't have the opportunity, let's say the students are not part of this summer academy, do they still take the college success course in the fall? But it's free for all the students?
No, it's the normal pricing, or whatever financial aid they get during the year.
But if they're part of this group, then
Right, they're
Yes.
part of this.
If they're
group.
part of this under the STEM grant with their cohort model, they're enrolled in this for free. Yes, yes.
See, I'm a proponent of discipline specific in certain cases, first year seminar courses. Is this one discipline specific to STEM, or is this the general course that you?
It was general, but however, since the summer academy, we did tie in some STEM assignments. We did collaborate with the college success professors. So for instance, there was one assignment we did with them that we talked about, the STEM department about, we had the students research an assignment about what inspired them about STEM, what topics, like, to write a paper about robotics, or if they're interested in mobile apps, and then that encouraged them to go use the library. So the librarian talked to these students about using research services. So they did this assignment that we were able to look at. So like I said, a lot of students wrote about what inspired them, what topics you want to learn more about, and they wrote on those STEM topics, like, robotics or whatever else. And then the college success teacher would grade that, so on their writing styles or what needs to improve their writing skills. So it's kind of like a fun project for them, not so much like a regular essay assignment. So that was tied in, but it was a general college success course though, so.
Did that answer?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Along with that, with the summer, there's also, like I said before, like I said about a minute ago, there's the STEM research project tied in. And that just came up because I think when the librarian talked to the students, we had different staff come in, every day talks to students about their services. When the librarian spoke to them, we thought about collaborating about, well, let's let them make up a little research assignment, so it was a fun thing tied into their college success course. So it ties into writing, their communication, articulation, it helped with that, especially going into composition 1 for fall, so.
So why are you providing the student hour information, and how many students does this translate to? And I don't know if this course is designed like as a full-time equivalency or what, but why are you reporting that, and how many students does that translate to?
Well, this was from our last summer cohort, so this was we had about 60, 65 students. We should be getting about 100 students this summer, but we just wanted to show of how many hours the students went. So basically Monday through Thursday for 5 weeks in the summer, we record that many hours to show, because at the end we'll show the success rates from fall to spring, how that jumped into the success from retaining the students. So
What time during the day for Monday and Wednesday? How long?
it was like 8:30 to 3, yeah.
Oh, it's all day.
Yeah, and some
If students had to
Fridays.
commit to it.
Mhm.
If students had to commit to it, this was part of the overall grant. The grant had other things in it relating to all of these. Kathleen and I were STEM success coaches, so we were assigned like half of the cohort each, and we kept close attention to those. Meanwhile, these other activities took place kind of around it. We would route students to these and help organize these as well.
And I'm sorry, but how did you actually recruit the students? Because with the competing work requirements that they have over the summer and everything, like how did you recruit these students to do this much time?
A couple different ways. One, we actually looked at students who were coming into the school and tried to grab ones that were college ready, and oftentimes we dipped below a little bit. But that's what was part of the program, was to bring students up. So yeah, we took some that were a little bit lower. And I think in the future, Kathleen and I recognized, and I think our supervisor as well, that we really need this business about the math to be beefed up. That's really the problem. Without that math, everything else will fall into place. It's just that math is such a main thing. We may even cut back on like the field trips and workshops and just focus on math, because that's one thing we can probably do for a number of reasons. And we got the students also, one of our persons in the STEM program is assigned to be a pre-college coordinator. So he actually goes out to high schools and kind of encourages students to come to our particular college and looks for those STEM students on the way. And we recruit them. Some we recruit ourselves, and some we kind of pluck off the incoming students to the school itself, the admissions. So we get students a couple different ways. We personally talk to them, find out if they're available in the summer. They have to do reasonably well on the placement tests. And we have to talk to them and see if we get their buy-in for, usually it corresponds to our summer 3 class, which is for like the end of, just after the 4th of July to the beginning of August. So the students kind of commit to come, and during that time they come every day, and they're with us for the different math workshops, English workshops, and then regular workshops in between. So this year we're going to make it almost like a college algebra class, like just a mini version.
Or simulation.
Yeah, pre-calculus. So this way the ones that are coming into those programs have it again, and we're going to just kind of, make it like so in there, make it so alive to them that when they come in September, they should know, what they need to and to be successful. Because the STEM students need to go through calculus, calculus 1, calculus 2. So, if they start too low on the rungs, they're never going to get there. That's the problem. So we're trying to do what we could. And I think Kathleen and I recognize a lot of it is that math. So we've encouraged our group to really work on this math business.
And this was from last summer data, so like I said, we're going to tweak it probably for this summer for the incoming cohort, especially because it was the first cohort last summer, so what worked well, what didn't work as well. So we're always like tweaking the ideas You had a question?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I know you guys are trying to move along, but,
It's okay, no, that's fine. I'm a big piece of the Summer Academy, big
I'm
bridge,
from
yeah.
Cumberland County College, we do the exact same programming, but we're in a just HSI STEM grant. How many credits is your college course and who teaches everything?
I think it's 2 credits for college success.
It's
Yeah.
2 credit class, and we work all year, which my boss and some other folks are doing now, to sign up teachers that are the regular professors to teach it. They're trying for full-time, but I don't think it really matters. They like full-time because they'll see those same professors again when you go to start in September. They'll kind of know them. I mean, and that part has worked very well. The students stay together, they recognize the professors, they know where the offices of the schools are. Not that, I mean, college students shouldn't be able to figure that out anyway, but that works really well, so they're comfortable.
So Professor Bender, one of the professors that taught college success over the summer, she teaches English a lot in the semester. So a lot of our students had her for the summer or starting a summer program, and now a lot of them are having her for English class. So like I said, they're getting to know the teachers. There's even also, in addition to college success, a lot of the teachers, like Professor Grimberg for engineering, he came to our engineering workshops. So our students got to know Professor Grimberg because he taught a lot of the intro engineering classes for fall. So the big chunk of our cohort, there was like, about 20, 30 students in each of the sections for intro engineering that had Professor Grimberg, and they knew him from the summer. So they said, oh, I know him. Yeah, we worked with him this summer. So it was a nice segue. Like I said, the comfort piece about the bridge, the whole bridge piece from summer to fall, especially as a high school senior into college. There's a lot of differences, of course, that they're getting aware of before fall starts, because a lot, as a lot of it is time management, adjustment. That's where a lot of their attention gets low because those first year students are so crucial with the data, of course, semester, the first semester, the second semester in college, as we know, a lot of them maybe drop out or they get frustrated, they can't manage their time, they're not really connected to something. So this is something where the cohort model, not only cohort for fall, but they're already connecting to us to summer before the fall. So it was a nice piece. So it was over like early mid-August. So we saw them again 2 or 3 weeks later for September, and it was a really nice segue into the fall. So.
Do you have any recruitment initiatives that target women in STEM? Just because there is such an underrepresentation for that population?
Hey, I'm trying to think of it. We had a good amount of females in our cohort. I mean,
I don't think there's a specific initiative, but we're all very sensitive to it. And we did have like a pretty high number, maybe like 45% if the whole group was female. Yeah, so I think so, but that's not in the grant, but it's interesting.
and that's something maybe we can build on, about the whole, the female, because obviously the demand with STEM fields, but obviously, as we know, the women in STEM are low as well. So that's something I was always thinking about to target in the future. So absolutely. So going into, they have weekly workshops. So last summer it was 5 weeks. So each week we did a weekly STEM themed workshop. So again, Professor Grimberg taught our engineering workshops, and they learned to build rockets. So we actually went to a field trip and they shot off the rockets. Also, they learned about like the NASA program, which we'll get into in a little bit. So it's a lot of tie-in with industry speakers and also connections with STEM careers, opportunities for them. Another week we did biology with dissections. We make it into about tying in a dissection about how to write a lab report that was come up with the science club. So we always get ideas during the year, and we get ideas as, oh, we should do it for the summer, So the dissections we did last summer, but maybe for this coming summer we can do, how to write a lab report. Actually, applying something, writing something down. The writing skills are so crucial. Computer science, and math workshops, We also did a field trip to Sandy Hook about the ecology piece, so they enjoyed that. They went out there, they went in the water, right? They discovered,
Yeah,
ocean
Sandy
life
Hook
and
is a research
animals out there, yeah.
grant center. And we caught fish, brought them back, dissected them. Students really, seemed to they found if they really like biology, if they really wanted to be a doctor after they cut open the fish.
And some of them actually, believe it or not, is you may, if you worked in a high school or middle school, a lot of them came to us and said, oh, I never did this section before. So some, believe it or not, sometimes maybe they haven't gotten the chance to. So they said, wow, I've never dissected something before. So
Some liked it, some were turned off by it.
yeah, a lot of those hands-on opportunities you may take for granted, but some of them have never seen it. So they were so grateful, they were excited, getting in there, hands-on things. Another thing too, industry guest speakers, we had 2 local engineer speakers come in, so that was great because they talked about even internship opportunities for summers coming up, so they got to know about that. Again, math bridge and preparation classes, so we worked a lot with their math skills. The goal obviously is to hire their math skills, so a lot of them took, whether it's college algebra or pre-calculus for the fall, we got them ready in the summer for that. English skills building, writing skills, and like I said before, field trips to Sandy Hook, and they built the rockets, they blasted them off at our YQ campus, so that's a little bit up north from us, because we're downtown Patterson, so we had to travel about 20 minutes north to have the space to blast off the rockets, so they really enjoyed that.
There was a
so.
mini physics class where we studied trajectory and actually built the rockets, and again, the students had no really experience in ever doing that. In fact, I don't think I had experience in building those model rockets. They go 300 miles an hour. You don't want to they'll knock your eye out.
Any other questions with the summer program? Because I know we're going to touch on it here and there, but I know it's a big chunk of what we do. So any other questions about the summer academy overall? Okay. So going into that, we just wanted to briefly talk about enabling student success. And these are things that probably, academic advisors, they work with all the time. Counselors on campus. So the first piece is academic, obviously. So, the priority obviously is academics. We want them to be on track, go to class, be successful, because obviously without the good grades, they can't be a successful college student. That's above all important. So a student who's doing well or improving in their classes, improvement's a big thing, because we always encourage, when we see improvement, we praise them. It says, oh, good job, I see you're improving in this and that. By working with their success coach consistently throughout the semester and year. So it's about progress. So we saw a lot of progress even from the summer to fall to spring. A lot of students have been growing academically, taking responsibility, going to the professors, seeing office hours, studying together in our makerspace. And the second piece is the social aspect. A student who's actively involved in STEM field trips, clubs, research, internship opportunities, NASA on-site experiences that we promote, discussions with our success coach regarding those available to them. The NASA we'll get into a little bit, but NASA we actually have, we had students that we had to apply from the cohort. A lot of students applied, about 30 applied, and I think about 10 were accepted to the NASA on-site program. So they actually went out to the NASA locations, and they went for a week-long mini internship, right? So it was all expenses paid, so a lot of them came back and they were so moved by the experience. They learned, a lot of the career workshops we learned today about. There was one workshop I went to today about when people look for people to hire, is problem-solving skills, working together in teams. And NASA, they said they worked in teams, they problem-solved, even with their STEM success, academy. It's all about problem-solving things and learning how to improve, so it's tied in nicely. Another thing is time management. So obviously time management is a big thing first-year students. So how to manage their time, study skills, because a lot of students, we don't want to see a student too much, into field trips, but not during their classwork or not going to class. So if we find out they're too much involved in maybe one thing, we want to make sure that's a nice balance, when you go to class, you're doing well, but it's not affecting both parts. So a student who's maybe active in field trips, research, but also doing well in classes, because we want to make sure that's a nice balance between them both. So that's mainly our job too, to promote the social aspect and to make sure they're on track academically. So this is more the success coaching using intrusive proactive advising model, as you say. So again, we're retaining students semester to semester. focused on graduation and then transfer 4-year. So that's ultimately our goal.
Up to this point, we've been talking a little bit about the STEM grant itself and the program that surrounds us. Kathleen and I are the 2 STEM coaches within like the 6-person group that's part of the STEM program. And now we'll talk a little bit more about our intrusive advising model and what we actually do with the students. We help plan some of those events, and we send our students to the ones, for instance, as you'll see, tutoring.
Sure. And then the other techniques are, which one? Oh, yes, so frequent regular contact, obviously, with students, especially because we have that cohort model. We're seeing them frequently, daily. We're keeping notes on contacts. There's something we developed called STEM Track. It's a database that we refer back to and follow up. So it's worked really well. What database was it called that piggybacked off of it? You just
I
said?
think there's a couple of retention databases that we modeled this after. I started writing it, somebody else took it over, and we created one because we didn't want to spend the money on a retention. I think Starfish is one of the names, and there's a couple more where it just pulls all this information, but you still need to feed all that information into the system. So we figured, well, we'll just get the information and put it in our system and use it. It's separate from really the school system. I think the next slide,
Yeah, let me just show you, I wanted to show you a print screen. I mean, with this site, we couldn't go online to show you because it's part of our database on campus, but basically it's great because it keeps track of the student pictures, their contact information. So I just wanted to show you a print screen. So like when I put in something, this is me, obviously, Kim Vincherry, or R. Gambino is Russell, we can put a drop down. If it's a career talk or coaching talk or call attempt, the type is there. We put the date, obviously, the time, and our notes for the student. So as you can see, it'll trail down from the summer. So, this was from December 7th, but it went all the way down to August. It kept trailing down. We couldn't fit the print screen,
and we
obviously.
have a nice picture of the student up on the top, so if ever we,
Yeah.
like, the tall kid or whatever, oh yeah, that's the person.
Yeah, so over
I
the
mean,
summer, we got to
sometimes
know
it's
the
hard
names
to-
really well, right? Because the
Yeah,
summer,
yeah.
obviously, it's getting to know the names well, so we looked at the pictures, and it was so nice to put the pictures to the names. The summer, we're trying to learn the names, the faces, and want to get to know them as quickly as possible. But this was from December, so you put the notes, she volunteered to assist, open house. And then January, her classes are going well. Actually, this was her sister attending in her STEM program because she was a senior. And then February, she's doing well in classes, especially bio. She dropped it last semester, and now she's doing well. She's applying for a scholarship. So these are all notes we can keep touch, even if they're not doing as well. We'll put that in the progress so we can see this together.
And this is part of our intrusive, what they call intrusive advising, so.
You have access to their grades like throughout the semester, or how do you keep track of that? Because I mean, the notes indicate that it's all student reported, so.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. We have a couple of things. I just want to show you here. We have under the academic information, we have what they placed in to the placement tests originally.
Okay.
We also have access to Ellucian and Colleague ourselves, although this is separate. But let's go to the next one. I think I'll go from
And
here.
also too, I just want to add with STEM Track, it was a database, we kept track of the student activities, so we were able to put the activities we did last semester, and we can put the pictures of the students' names. So it was a Dropbox, we can put who attended the events, the description, so it keeps track it nice for the grant especially, and also to go back to and see, maybe they're not attending as much, so for instance, if we see a lot of students that are frequently attending, but maybe we'll go back, well, I haven't seen Jeffrey in a while, what's he up to, so it's good to keep track of our cohort and seeing who's attending, who's not attending so much, to keep track of everyone, so.
But I'd just like to revisit that question because I don't think I answered it, but I know kind of what you're getting at, that you don't really know what the student's doing today, what they did tomorrow and next week. Everybody probably has the early warning system around midterm. The professors usually maybe will get back to you. Well, what we do is we know where all these students are. We look it up in Colleague. reflected here, and we actually write emails to the professors and stay in touch with them and ask how these students are doing. So they write back to us and say, oh yeah, a little dissatisfied or whatever. So we have within a couple of weeks a good assessment if the students are, how they're doing those first couple of weeks, which is really what you need. I think that's probably what you're getting.
We have a similar function that our department does, called progress notes, and we do them 4 times a semester.
Oh, okay.
And every semester, it's unfortunately a manual process, but we send it out to around 500 or so instructors that encompass all of our students. And they'll give us a code, passing with concerns, or not passing, or withdraw. And then they also have the option to do comments as well. And that's, so we can sort by cohort year, because it's in a sheet, and then we can sort by codes as well. So, we'll sort by, let's say, 2015 cohort, because they have 3 years to graduate. And then, we'll sort by not passing students, so there's like, let's say 100 students on there. So, we'll be able to do class visits and things like that, and emails based on that, so.
And you're with what school?
Operation Graduation at Union County College.
Oh, okay, very good, very good. I guess we all come to, they say things are invented in different parts of the world at the same time.
Yeah. So, we're very familiar with your methods.
We recently added a new one. And we jumped right on this, all the instructors, it used to be full-time, the adjuncts used to have to report attendance. The full-time instructors, for some reason, didn't have to report full-time attendance. Now, everybody has to put it into like a Blackboard thing, whether they're in Blackboard or not.
Yeah.
And so we know almost immediately, we have access to those. So if any of our students are missing like the first week they're missing class, there's a problem. Either they're not going, they don't care, maybe they forgot they're in class, they're sick, there's something, and we give them a call.
Yeah, show if it was on time, even tardy or absent, we see that trend, so, yeah.
Yeah, so we right on that one too, that's helped us a
I
lot.
was gonna say, we actually get a report, EOF, athletes, trio students, so we were actually recently added on last semester to the progress report for those students that's needed specific tracking, so we got that last month around midpoint. It was like a check-in with professors, so we can actually read through the list, like it was all STEM, even if students were EUF and STEM, trio STEM, all just STEM majors, we can refine it. So we got like satisfactory, and professors wrote notes if they were failing, doing well, so we were able to see that. So it's really once a semester a midpoint check-in, but it's a good insight to see where they stay in midpoint, to see if they need to, what they need to change or improve on, so, yeah.
Do the faculty do this voluntarily, or is it required?
Well, I think because especially with EOF and everyone, they require a report, right? Because I think
The
those
midterm one, what they call early warning, which is really midterm, it's like halfway warning.
There were some professors I didn't hear
Yeah.
back from, so we try to follow up with them through email to get them, but yeah, not all of them. The majority of them, they seem to do.
But the request for the progress reports, does it come from you, or does it come from
No,
another?
I think Justin Hall from Institutional Effectiveness sends it out. So what happens is that this was early March, so he gave us the feed every, about 3 times. So whoever submitted it from early March before spring break, he gave us the feed of the updated notes. And then 2 more times, I think. So the end of March, whatever was added on there or previous notes, he just sent to us. So I think he sends out to us, EOF departments, whatever he gets from the professors.
We also go out early the first couple of weeks and just email the professors we know the students are in. So this is kind of like a 2-barrel. One is the official one that the school gets and anybody can use. The other one is we know where the students are, and we're like, oh, yeah, there's 6 students. They end up being clustered in classes, and it just worked out that way because they're kind of registered together, they're in a cohort together, they want to be together, and it turns out that they are together. So we go out also, and it's a little bit more informal, but I think we get even better data by just us going to them. So
we were actually recently added on because we requested it to be added onto it because we found out a couple of our students in the summer were EUF and STEM, so we found out that they got progress reports, and we reached out and says, hey, can we be added on this list? So we were recently added on this semester for it because we reached out last semester, and we thought it was a good tool to, so this was our first semester, we got the follow-up on it with, just always EOF, athlete, trio, the ones that need that state reporting for students, so hopefully we get more responses from professors as it goes on in time, so.
I just want to mention that we're piloting a great application that does this dropout detective program.
Oh, that's interesting.
But what I wanted to ask you was students requiring accommodations. How do you can't put that information in your STEM track, but I would assume that you have some type of coordination and communication, encouraging them to turn in their forms and that kind of thing. How do you facilitate that? It may be
We're still taking that challenge on,
okay.
and it kind of surfaced on us.
I appreciate you came.
A number of reasons, and this year, we're gonna maybe have some other people who we had to speak last time, have the disabilities person come in and talk to them. Also, we put that on this year's application form. We have a special form. We've added, so we've added things in there. One is, do you intend to graduate from Passaic County Community College? Which we don't want people, it seems like some of our better students, they want to transfer before. We want them to transfer when they're done. So we kind of want to just hold it in place. We're not going to hold them to legally. And two, have you gotten disabilities?
High school.
In high school,
Yeah.
right, or what accommodations do you need, or,
Yeah, just so we know, we'll then take a look how we want to handle it, because we need to, the grant or anything never factored this in, and it surfaced now.
Right.
Not a real problem, but, we know we need to do something with that. So, yeah, no, it's good to know. So you're piloting a tool like this?
So yes, in my capacity, I'm over our first year experience, and piloting an early warning system out of there using Dropout Detective, which is a very cool application for whatever it's worth. Because what it does is measures what the students are doing across all of their courses, and it takes into consideration attendance, assignments, whatever you want the algorithm to feed into it, lateness of the assignments, whatever, grades, everything. And then it gives you that opportunity to have that note field with the progress, and you can generate what's called a alert on a student, and you can separate out different advisors. That's one of the things that made me think of it, because like you, I was just supposed to do the first year experience, and I said, well, I reached out to the various special populations. I said I could just kind of have you monitor your students, and it served as a safety net for them. But then I'm also over disability services, so that's why I was interested in your coordination in that respect, and how you make sure students are up to the starting line in a program like this as well, because if they're like any other student, they kind of put it on the back burner.
Yeah, and I think this summer we're going to have the Coordinator of Disability Resources. She's Doreen McGrath, right? She works with accommodations. She hands the paperwork in for students who need accommodations. We're going to have them actually. We handed in some paperwork for students who needed accommodations that came to us and talked about things, but we're going to have her come in summer and talk to them right from the start, and say, she's available, this is what they provide, these are the paperwork to hand out, to fill out if whatever resources or accommodations you need for the classes, more time, or whatever accommodations you need, so.
Sir.
So, our system that we created, the progress notes, was what we probably had about 5 years ago. Some give or take, and Dropout Detective we actually got as well about a year ago or so. But we found that it's only actually like 60-65% accurate.
My question would be, where's the data coming from?
It's all professor
Yeah,
input.
it pulls it from colleagues.
And so if the professors don't know how or can't put it in or don't feel like putting it in, it's all pendant on
I
that.
see.
Well, see, ours is self-populating. It's tied to Canvas.
A lot of teachers don't put Canvas
Well,
grades
yeah, there
until
you
the
go.
next semester.
Then there's that.
I think these are all the same issues I think we all have. Ours was, we'll find out and put it in our system. So
Yeah.
I guess there's a limit. Maybe this year we get another 100 students, maybe we'll outgrow it. But still, somehow that data's got to get filled in here. what the student's doing today, would they get on the test last night, unless you really have that.
We also have access to the candidates ourselves as advisors. So we can see like the professor's page and see like what they're putting it in as well as.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So like, you know, the professors who put grades in that, we know why they're not getting back to us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That would not fly.
That would not fly with my, you know, our
That would not work.
UCC. We don't use it a particular lot. We don't need to know all that.
We need all of that, trust me.
STEM courses, as you know, are challenging. These are some of the things still the department provides. We help out with this and we direct our students to these programs. We provide the one-on-one advisement whenever students need it, and especially at registration time, and particularly at withdrawal time. We saved a few and kind of kept them in the game by advising them they better withdraw, and we don't really like to do it. But we do it. We provide tutoring, specific STEM tutoring for algebra, pre-calculus, calculus, chemistry. We employ supplemental instruction. Has anybody been familiarized with supplemental instruction? It's a specific kind of tutoring where the student, and that works really well. It takes a lot to set these programs up. You need buy-in of the instructors. Again, this is some of the stuff the STEM program provides. We monitor the class attendance. Again, that's kind of new. Student success in the class. We communicate with the instructors. Starting to get into the term was intrusive advising. We don't particularly like it. I like assertive advising. It's a little softer.
Proactive, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. Intrusive sounds like you're going to knock on their door at midnight, hey, why don't you do your homework? But I guess the word got out there. Recently, this has evolved kind of out of nowhere, was our peer tutoring. We found out in the cohort, some students turned out to be really good at certain subjects and want to volunteer to kind of give back. And so they're kind of on the list to be a paid tutor next year. They're helping out this year and the other students like it. They go to them, oh, I know her from the summer or him.
And this is something that grew over the semester. So peer tutoring, when they came back for spring, a lot of the cohorts would mix obviously with non-cohort, because obviously in the makerspace there's, cohort, non-cohort, STEM mixing in. We don't say, oh, you're not cohort, you're not, well, so we see everyone all STEM, but we focus more on the cohort and following up. But peer tutoring, we discovered, in the makerspace, I was telling Russell, they hang out, they work on things together. So I said, well, I went up to a couple of students and I said, well, looking at the transcripts of those who really got strong grades in math from fall, say, well, would you like to help out in the spring? I said, sure, because a lot of them are friends with each other. So it built well. We have now 3 peer tutors in math that are STEM students. They help out with our cohort students, non-cohort, right in the makerspace. So tutoring is in our STEM lab upstairs, but the peer tutoring, they're all right there. They're hanging out anyway, so you might as well get some peer tutoring and help. So we encourage that walk-in tutoring atmosphere, always academic focused, learning, group learning, studying groups together. So that kind of grew this semester. So we continue to grow it. So.
This is kind of just bounce back. This is the early warning feedback, but we also communicate with instructors early on, just restating what we talked about before. Subjects, our STEM department sets up specific tutoring. The school has tutoring. A lot of it is for the remedial subjects, but we provide particular STEM level tutoring from students who had done it and did pretty well in the classes in all of these subjects. So,
The STEM level tutoring, is that, so you have the STEM students that are doing the peer tutoring, but the students are receiving the tutoring, are they only students in the cohort, or are they like any student in like a STEM related class?
any student in a STEM related class, yeah, they come in too.
Okay,
These tutors are actually paid
okay.
$12 an hour or whatever they get. The peer ones kind of came and volunteered, and they'll be the paid ones next time. And these only, like if students in a low-level math, they can kind of come in, but we really encourage the STEM students to come in for the algebra, pre-calc, calculus.
And obviously
Are
with
those
our
your
cohort, I'm sorry? Oh, no, with our cohort, we always are, more on top of them with, are you going to tutoring, what do you need? Whereas, non-cohort we see, but, we see a lot of the cohort may be priority, but obviously they're all welcome, cohort, non-cohort, we see them all. But we're tracking the cohort, so we're making sure that the cohort obviously gets their tutoring they need and everything.
Are those your SIs, the paid? Or are
These
those
are just tutors.
Yeah.
Those are just
We
the
have
paid ones?
tutors and SIs.
do they have degrees or your paid tutors?
Some do and some don't.
The
Some
paid
just-
ones, really?
Yeah, some do and some don't.
What's your funding source for the paid ones
They
that don't have degrees?
I think
I
the
think
DOE,
there's levels with the pay rate, I believe.
yeah,
I'm
there's
not
some
sure.
levels.
But institutional, you institutionally pay some tutors that don't have degrees?
Yeah, I think so.
What a novel idea.
We had some students, well, what happened, we had some students from NJIT, that went to PCC, now they're at NJIT, and they come back and they tutor our students.
Yeah, the best ones are the ones that graduated. But,
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
The SIs get some, and the SIs are kind of a tutor, sometimes they're interchangeable. But the SIs have to go to the class and kind of know the class and know the teacher. Here's just our last group of SIs, speaking of that. These guys are all at four-year institutions now, for sure. So the SIs were either near degree or a degree. We also, the STEM department provides a number of other enrichment support type things that the professors probably wouldn't have time to do, like for instance, all these different clubs. We stand in and become advisor to some of these clubs. We also promote, in particular, this NASA NCAS. Is anybody familiar with that? That's a wonderful program from NASA. And that one is actually, there's no cost. So even though we spend time preparing students to apply to it, once they're accepted to it, it's all on NASA's dime. They take the students, and what a wonderful experience for the students from the area to actually be transported to a NASA location and spend a week with real engineers, astronauts, and whatnot. They come back and they're changed, so we found this is a wonderful opportunity. Again, this is usually we drive our cohort. Kathleen and I are the STEM coaches, so we sort of like hand work with the students. Other guys in our department, ladies, they plan some of those other events like the tutoring and such. We mostly manage the students. Lecture series, we have people come in and talk to our students. And this is just
And this is from
some more results, because we're kind of satisfied
What I wanted to
so
show you
far.
after the Summer Academy, so the Summer Academy was a bridge. We saw them for 5 weeks, 4 days a week in that short time frame. But we built relationships so closely, and then the fall, we saw them a lot with programs and events. So we just want to show you an aspect. So from fall to spring, 62 students were enrolled in Summer Academy. We want to try to get at least 100 for the summer for the enrolled academy. So 58 of them, 93%, completed the Summer Academy. There were a couple of them, due to personal reasons, things happened over the summer that they weren't enrolled for fall. They had, other things going on, which we understood. And then 55 of those, 95% students are currently registered at the time for spring. So we found that they retained on to, spring semester. They were enrolled, they came to us to register, follow up to see what they need to approve on from fall to spring, what works well, what doesn't. And then we're still working on that now. So from spring to fall, as you know, there's a gap. So there's some students who are taking summer classes, so we may have something over the summer, maybe our cohort from last summer. We're thinking of, James and I were talking about having some tutoring for them for August when I take calculus. They had that small bridge again for that cohort last year so that we don't lose them. So that's important too. So it's that, May through August to keep them engaged and keep in touch with them, to keep that, that rate high as we go along from year to year and semester to semester, so.
I think that might be it. I guess in summary, Kathleen and I take care of the students and keep an eye on each one, call them up every couple of months. The ones that need more attention, we call them more frequently, try to suggest different ideas. We also help them schedule for classes, and we help them with career choices as well. And we look forward to another couple more years where our cohort will get bigger and bigger, and we'll just try to stay on top of all of them as they go through the school, graduate, and now our mission is transfer to four-year institution.
Questions or comments or things you're working on?
Which grant was this? Which grant was this?
You know the exact
Well, we
name?
call it STEM 3 grant, right, because it's
Yeah,
the,
but that's our
we used to
name.
have previous grants, we had the first, there's a bunch of STEM grants going on, because we're under the third STEM grant right now, but it's under,
I'm not sure of
yeah,
the exact
sure.
exact name. I know it has some name.
The federal government.
Department of Education, yeah,
But federal, not state.
that's correct.
Yeah.
And then SF or whatever is involved.